Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ask Our Achievers, a live Q&A session where our experts answer your questions. So today, we've decided to go down 3 tracks, which are recruitment, culture, and quality assurance. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our panel to you. So first up, we have Janani Pereira, a Senior Talent Acquisition Executive here at Capstars, who will be answering your questions on positioning yourself as an ideal candidate. Next up, we have Oshini Valencia, who is an HR business partner here at Capstars, and she will be answering your questions on how to build an engaged company culture. We also have our QA experts on the panel, that is Seomini Jaivira and Helen Koelpillai, who will be answering all your questions on honing your QA skills. So now we've received all your questions prior to our session. So without further ado, we will get our Q&A session started. So the first question is going to be to recruitment, and Janani, this question will be out to you. So the first question is, how would you face an interview effectively? And how would you improve your public speaking skills? Janani, over to you.
Yeah, sure. So basically, I'll first answer the question how to face an interview effectively. So always be prepared. So you need to do a research about the company, because keep in mind, during an interview, the interviewer will definitely ask you questions about the company. So it's always good to do a research beforehand when you answer to those questions. And also, if that company has a blog and social media presence, you could also refer to those before you answer to those questions. And apart from that, be on time. So time stress can also make you more nervous. So it is advisable to arrive like 10 or 15 minutes before the interview, so that you will feel much more comfortable to face the interview. And also try to stay calm and relaxed. So if you need to take a moment to answer to a question, just explain it to the interviewer, and don't start with just go with the flow. And apart from that, practice makes perfect. So keep practicing on how to face the interview so that you will build confidence. And it's very important that you do not learn the answers by heart, but make sure you familiarize the process a bit. So show who you are and what makes you unique. Apart from that, plan your outfit. So make sure that you wear clothes which is smart but comfortable as well. And your body language matters a lot. So not only the outfit, but your behavior, your body language has a huge impact on the first impression. So greet the person, the interviewer, with a firm handshake. Then try to smile, sit up straight, and make an open and warm first impression. So I hope I answered to the first question. So let's move to the second one, where you asked how to improve public speaking skills. So it's normal when it comes to public speaking, people become very nervous. It's very normal. So you need to keep practicing. By practicing, you will be able to overcome this anxiety and to make sure that you deliver to the audience well. And I think the best way to improve public speaking is by watching and learning exceptional speakers speaking during these public speaking forums. And also you need to know your audience. So before you give a presentation, take some time and see what sort of audience you will have to cater to, so that you can tailor your speech and let your personality come through. Be yourself, don't become a talking head, and also use your voice and hands effectively. So non-verbal communication carries most of the message.
Cool. Thank you, Janani. I feel that there was a lot of very valuable information that was shared there in your answer, especially to a lot of people who might be fresh graduates or undergraduates. Getting into the workforce for the first time can be a little bit of a daunting task. And even for people who are seasoned professionals, it's always great to find ways of upskilling yourself a little bit. So thanks, Janani. And the next question is actually directed to Oshini and is a culture-related question. So the question that has been posed to us is actually one very specific about GapStars itself. So the question, Oshini, that has been posed to you is, are employees at GapStars not permanent? Are they on contract? Some people have mentioned on Glassdoor that we are currently on a contract basis. So Oshini, could you please go ahead and clear out this particular doubt that has been raised here?
Sure. Thank you, Zara. So just to, good evening to everyone here that's online today. Just to answer that question, Zara, as HR professionals, in our context of work, we need to be able to understand what the real business model is, right? It's not only about hiring and firing or retaining people. No longer is that HR. It's about understanding the strategy of the business, what the business model is, and how we support it. If you take GapStars, GapStars predominantly works with startups and scale-ups, right? And our business model is such that it's focused on remote working. So to our clients, the entire trust building process, ensuring that we have suitable talent within GapStars is crucial. So this is why we have implemented the contracts of 2-year fixed term contracts that's renewable every year, and followed by a permanent contract at the end of these 2 years. This is so that we will be able to understand the culture fit of the employee as well as the performance of our employees, so that we are able to provide a permanent contract, knowing that that is the best talent that we have in-house to be able to support our client growth as well. I hope I answered that question.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. And a big thank you as well to the person who asked that question. We're very happy to be able to have this platform to clear up any doubts that the external community might have. GapStars always prioritizes open communication and feedback, both within the company as well as externally with our external community. So thank you for that question. And thank you, Oshini. That was a very well put together answer. And now we will move on to our QA section, as I'm sure a lot of you techies do have a lot of questions in the quality assurance sphere. So the first question I will actually be posing to Seomini. And the question is, what are the methods to improve our QA skill?
Thank you, Sarah, and good evening, everyone. So, interesting question. I myself have Googled this very same area before I started. So I thought I would share an answer with what I have learned throughout the years in the industry. So I think before going into the question, what QA skills how we can improve the QA skills, it's very important as QAs for us to understand what is our roles and responsibilities, because in the industry at the moment, even though we are hired as quality assurance engineer, we often do testing. So we are testers. But so inside GapStars specifically, I got the opportunity to practice quality assurance in a sense that we as a QA team can contribute to improving the product quality continuously. So there, I think the important part of that I felt is when I'm doing that role, I need to improve on the leadership skills, for example, and communication skills, and also, of course, the other skills such as analytical skills. You need to pay attention to details, etc. But then you might even be wondering, okay, communication skills and leadership skills, what's meant by that? So quality is, again, it's a culture. It's a shared responsibility. As a QA engineer, apart from the day-to-day testing work, we should also push the team towards having that cultural change where collaboratively we all feel responsible for the end product quality. So, and being the QA, apart from the day-to-day testing work, we should always focus on how we can take tiny steps to improve our quality of the products. So usually what I have identified as most effective while working is like mostly reflecting on your own work. So that is just reflecting what are the issues we found in previous releases, for example. So what are the bug trends? Likewise, when you analyze your previous work, you'll see like, okay, I could have done this better. So having that analytical mindset is one place where we can improve, and it helps us to do a better job every day. Apart from that, again, when executing tests or planning something, we should always look at how we can assess in terms of the plan where we are. So that also helps us to do a better job as QAs. And also the most important part is whenever we come across a challenging situation or an issue where we need to come up with a solution. So discussing with your colleagues, industry experts, and know their opinion, like how the industry solved this very problem, is also a very good way we can improve our skills. So I hope sharing my personal experience would help, because you can always go to Google and Google all these things, and you will also get a list of things. But practically, these are the things which helped me. So.
Cool. Thank you, Samini, for sharing your tips on how to improve yourself as a QA engineer. So the next question is also one on honing your QA skills. And this is one that I will actually be posing to Helen. And the question is, what is the best way to learn automation? Helen, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Yes, so to answer the question, so automation is some very trending term when it comes to quality assurance and testing. It has become a very important skill, a mandatory skill. You could more of say a mandatory skill for a tester in the modern work environment. And it is important that it is important as a tester that we learn automation. And to start off with, I would say you should first have the desire to learn. If once you have that desire in place, there are a few practical points that we can follow so that we efficiently learn it and learn it with ease. So basically, there are a lot of courses that are available that are automation focused. Apart from going for a course, you can also be you can self-teach yourself and equip yourself with automation skills. There are plenty of free material available online. So if you just Google it, you would find so many tutorials which could be free or paid. And there are a lot of platforms that and good courses that are easy and simple to follow. So that is one way that one very effective way to get started and learn automation. And always, yeah, when it comes to automation, focus and try it out practically. Just looking at a video would not improve your skills, but you would have to really code yourself and see how it goes. And when you start off, initially it's not going to be easy, so you're not going to get the script working at one shot. So always go try with small steps. Start with small steps. Don't soon as you start off, don't dive into trying to automate a huge process. Maybe just a simple page would do. So try with small steps, and later on you could expand to big automating bigger pages, bigger processes. And be patient with yourselves. If you are a beginner, be patient with yourself. Step by step you will get there, because yeah, it takes time to learn. And once you invest in that and put your effort to it, yes, you will get to it. Like even practically for me, there was one point that I was a manual tester, and then I moved into automation. So there is a learning process, but if you put that effort, yes, it is easy and you can get to that point. And another point that may help you is try to have a mentor who would guide you and advise you. This could be a software developer or senior QA engineer who is seasoned in automation. So having this mentor will make the learning process easy, so that you can get advice, and you can ask on trending automation technologies. So those would be my tips to get started. And yeah, if that is something on your mind to start learning automation, I would say definitely go for it. And get a mentor who will train you and guide you on it.
Super. Thanks, Helen. The next question will be another recruitment question, and this will be out to Janani. The question is, what are the minimum qualifications for a tech position?
So the minimum qualifications for a tech position would be a bachelor's degree. The areas of study in this area would be computer science, computer engineering, information technology, information technology management, likewise. And some students may even continue to do their masters. So that would be very useful to get a senior position level in an IT company. So such as like Director of Information Technology. I hope I answered the question, Zara.
All right. And the next question that we have is twofold, and this is to Oshini on culture. So Oshini, the question is, how can an individual balance work and life? And this is the first part of the question. And the second part of the question is, how can an organization help them achieve this?
Okay. To answer that question, to answer your very first question, how does an individual balance their work and life, right? As I would like to say, it's no longer work and life. It's about balancing your life overall. Yes, work is one aspect of it, but how do you balance the other elements of your life? I think that is what the bigger focus needs to be on. So apart from work, yes, you will work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, but apart from that, when you go home or even during weekends, try and socialize, because there is more to life than work also. So find your interest in something that will help you grow as an individual. It could be something very small as learning to play an instrument. It could be something very small as learning to do swimming, cooking, whatever skill that you think you need in life. Find time for that, and socialize with your family, your friends, who will always be there for. And that is part of that is your bigger. You'll be able to create a bigger impact on that, and have a bigger work-life balance and life balance rather. In terms of answering the second question, GapStars has put so many initiatives in place. I, for one, feel very privileged to be here at GapStars because of of the key initiatives that it has taken to take care of its employees' well-being. Work-life balance is not only just finishing your work at 5 o'clock and heading off, but it's also about your physical and mental well-being. So to do that, one of the very first initiatives that we've taken before even COVID began was the flexible work arrangements. Our clients are very understanding in that sense, and They promote work-life balance. They promote flexible working. To us, it's not about the hours that you work, but instead of the deliverables that you meet and the productivity, right? So that is one initiative we've taken. If you know Gapstars, if you've seen our work in the community, you see we are a bunch that loves to have fun. So all of the events that we do are not just sometimes employee-centered, it's sometimes extended to our families as well, because they are also part of our bigger community here at Gapstars. Apart from that, to support your mental well-being, we have the counselor, in-house counselor that is accessible to our employees at any time. We also have a trustee. In case you have any concerns that you need to go to, you can always reach out to the in-house trustee that is at Gapstars. Apart from that, we also offer our employees the certain perks that are very specific to Gapstars. We have our lunch allowances that are provided to our employees. We have unlimited medical leave because we are not very operational. We don't say this we don't put a limit on the medical leave, and our employees appreciate that very much. Apart from that, we also have an in-house masseuse. So every time you feel stressed, you're feeling tired, you can always go to that person. So these are some of the things that we've implemented within Gapstars. We are a bunch that not only works hard, we also like to play hard. So yeah, I hope I answered your question, Zara.
Thanks, Oshini, you definitely did. I think you highlighted very much so on the importance of balance as a whole and not just work life. And we've just had a power cut. So let's try our best to continue. I think our networks are fine, but unfortunately, I think we're all in a little bit of darkness. But yeah, let's continue. So the next question is actually another QA question, which I will be posing to Seomini. And this is quite a detailed one. So the question is, usually when there are fixed release date deviations from the time estimation during the process of development, it results in compromising the testing time. Yet when we come across production bugs, there can be discussions around why it wasn't found by the testing team. As testers, how should we prepare for this?
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, so this has, again, I think this has happened to most of us, and the way to tackle it is create a test plan, focusing on the release beforehand, with the timelines, everything in place. When creating, usually we expect a portion of time for testing, of course, but also have a realized version of the test plan, and to do it, we can look at things like defect clustering, and we can look at like product list analysis. And then as QAs, we can make sure with a limited time also, we can look into the more critical areas. At the same time, test automation, especially if you want to do regression testing, having an automated regression suite also takes off a lot of manual testing, means time-consuming activities. So apart from that, the very important part is, again, keep these things communicated to the team always. So if you have an original test plan with the time limitation, then it's always better to go to your product owner or whoever the stakeholders, and then discuss with the limited time. So this is our prioritization. So then everybody would understand, yeah, we can't test everything. So that is known by everybody. The best way to tackle it is always try to prioritize. If you know your product better, you will know, okay, these are the fragile areas, these are the critical components. Talk to your product owner and always try to get inputs on how the product is actually used by the customers. Depending on that, we can make our priorities accordingly. So I think it answers your question, Sarah.
Thanks, Hermione. I think you really highlighted the importance of synergy and collaboration within a tech or product team, which of course is very important in most other teams as well. So thank you for highlighting that. The next question is another QA question, which I will pose to Helen. And the question is, what skills would you need as an intern? Give me one moment. What are the skills that you would need as an intern when entering the QA field?
Yep, thank you, Zara. Yep, to answer your question, I think Sevmini already touched on this part a few questions before, but I'm going to elaborate on it. So as a QA, if you're entering the QA field, the major part of your job role is going to be focused on testing. So definitely you need you need sharp testing skills, which would be part of the technical skill package. So make sure that you are focused on the technical skill package, and that you develop all the technical skills that are required for a tester, that you know the different types of testing, that you know the testing terms, the scope, and you know how to create test plans, or how you contribute towards a test plan, or how, and simple things like how to create bugs, how to create bug reports, how to work with testing tools. And apart from that, something we always forget, or something that could be easily overlooked, are the non-technical skills. So sometimes we get really focused on improving or preparing with the technical skills, that we forget about the non-technical skills. But in the modern context, the big IT companies, they also look for the non-technical skills. So be focused on improving them and preparing on sharpening those skills as well. For example, communication is key. You must be in a position to well communicate with different team members. This could be developers, project managers, product owners. So you should have good communication skills as a tester. Apart from that, problem solving, analytic skills, leadership skills, and you should be a good team player. So these non-technical skills are very important, and these are some of the key factors that your interviewer would be looking at when at a job interview. And this is something that you really need to look at sharpening, especially at the entry level as well, so that at one point when you grow in your career, that you would have the entire package that's required for a good QA engineer. Over to you, Zara.
Thank you, Helen. And Janani, I'm sure that you can agree that when it comes to skills required, soft skills and non-technical skills are definitely a very, very important area that we do look at, and that all recruitment and TA teams actually look at in terms of getting the right candidate on board. So thank you, Helen. And I believe a lot of the QA questions that we have actually received are along the lines of QA requirements, how do you get into the QA field, and shifting to automation. So I would like to also invite our audience to send in any questions for a mini Q&A session, an impromptu Q&A session at the end. So if you do have any questions that you would like answered live, do drop them into the chat box and we will get to them at the end of the session. So we have another question that is aimed towards recruitment, and this is to Janani. So the question is, give me one moment. Right. So Janani, the question to you is, what is the difference between tech recruitment and other category recruitment?
So basically, technical recruitment involves sourcing candidates for technical jobs like IT related jobs like technical based roles. So IT recruiter deals with different kind of IT skills, languages such as PHP, Java, .NET, Oracle, SEO, etc. And it generally requires a recruiter to have good working knowledge of tech jargon and essential technical skills. So a non-technical recruiter involves in sourcing for jobs such as non-technical jobs. So it includes like banking, manufacturing, medical and health care, etc. So a general recruiter usually needs to know just enough about a broad category of industries, whereas technical recruiters, on the other hand, are like subspecialists. They are specialized. They have specialized knowledge about a specific segment, such as IT, SaaS, e-commerce, agency, etc. So I hope I answered to your question, Zara. Over to you.
Thanks, Janani. So those are the questions that we have actually received from our audience. And if there are any questions that you would like answered live, then do drop them into the chat box. I will probably give about 1 to 2 minutes if there are any questions that you guys would like answered right here and right now. Right, so we have one more question, and this is actually something that I think that everyone can contribute to. Maybe one from a cultural perspective, one from a recruitment perspective, and another from a technical perspective. So maybe Oshini, we will start with you from a cultural and maybe from a personal perspective as well. In facing internships and entering the workforce for the first time, what are some of the challenges that you might encounter and how would you overcome them?
Okay. In terms of entering the workforce, in entering the sector, the IT sector in itself, it can be nerve-wracking for the first time. I, for one, was when I secured my first internship, I was very nervous. Even though you can do all of your background work, you can research about the company, you think you have all the skills. There are certain skills that even when you go for these interviews, there is a lack of confidence. And I think that is the most important thing that you need to focus on. Be confident about yourself. Let them see who you are, like Janani mentioned earlier. It's about showing the real you. So when they see the real you and see what value that you can bring to the table, I think that is your first entry point. So just I think that is what I have to tell you from my personal experience, Zara. That is one of the challenges, because we see at interviews, people get very nervous. They're not themselves. There's someone else at the interview, but even if you talk to them offline, they're very outgoing, they're very bubbly and all of that. But at the interview, they seem pretty nervous. So try and avoid that. Be yourself as much as possible, and be confident in yourself. I think that's the most important thing.
Thanks, Oshini. Sayomini, what are your views on the matter?
Yeah, thinking about someone who would like to take a technical job. Again, when we go to a technical internship specifically, I think just focus on what you know, what you learned. So usually always present what you know, and if you don't know something, that is okay. It's just I think, especially in an internship, all what we do is we don't know a lot, but we are willing to learn. So give your best shot to learn and to face the challenges then and there. So you'll be fine. So always, it's okay to say if you don't know something, I still do it. If you don't know something, you don't know something. But, if you're willing to learn and if you are dedicated and committed to what you do, so that's I think you will be fine, just fine.
Thanks, Somini. Helen, what are your perspectives?
So my perspective is similar to Semini because, yeah, especially with freshers, something common that you could notice is that interns could be nervous because there's a lot going on when you enter the work force for the very first time. There's a lot of technologies. You need to learn the domain. Need to get domain knowledge, and there are different tools, technologies that can be applied. So it could be overwhelming to someone who's very new. But again, my advice and tip would be, again, don't worry about everything that's going on around you. Just be open to learn, because you when you enter as an intern, intern, you are not required to know everything, but it is a step by step process where you will learn and adapt to the role. And this is everyone in the team are going to be understanding about this, but always be open to learn and improve yourself.
Thanks, Helen. And finally, Janani, what are your opinions on it?
Yes. Sometimes for certain interns, it's going to be too much work, or for sometimes certain interns have too less work. So for interns who has too less work, I believe it's always best to get some from your supervisors and maybe do a project on your own. So at least you learn something new. And for certain interns who feels like your boss is taking a lot of work from you, you need to work a long hours likewise. But there is so much learning that you can do which will benefit you in the future. So I believe you need to grab whatever is being given to you, and also if you have more capacity to learn more, so that you can take up a better role in the future in the same organization. So that's my point of view.
Thanks, Janani, and thank you to Oshini, Seomini, and Helen as well. Thanks, ladies, for joining today's panel and for asking the questions that have been posed to us by our audience. And of course, a big thank you to our audience as well for joining today for Ask Our Achievers, a Q&A session on QA, recruitment, and culture. So with that, we will actually be signing off. So thank you everyone for joining, and stay safe and good night.
Thank you. Have a nice evening, guys.